What is up, everybody? You know the deal. It is your guy, Malone.
Ryan Wilson.
Hey, got a great episode for y'all. See the Floor podcast. We are here. We are live. You ready, brother?
Let's get it.
Welcome in, everybody. See the Floor podcast. The guys, the pros. Your boy, Malone.
Ryan Wilson.
Man, everybody, Mental Health Awareness Month. Round of applause, round of applause, round of applause.
May is here.
Yes, hey, May showers brings, or what is it, April showers brings May flowers?
Yeah.
There we go. Man, got like something that we really thought about that was, sometimes things come to us on the fly. You know, we have all this stuff on the board, but just content can be created at any time. And the blessing about our studio is that we can get in at any time. You know, we feel we need to get something, down and recorded.
Facts.
Yeah. Something that we want to talk about, like I said, going into Mental Health Awareness Month is just in general, the mental health and awareness, kind of a little bit from our perspective and what we've dealt with in terms of sports and how it's affected our mental health and where we're both at now today as, an adult and a young adult. So.
Yeah. Well, first, let's start off. Where you at right now, mental health? Scale of 1 to 10.
Mental health, I'm doing better. I have been going through some things, something that will be coming to y'all soon, content-wise. So I definitely have had to spend some time on my mental health, and it is something that I was definitely not aware of, that was really a thing, and that's something I needed to take control of and have control of it for myself. Shout out to a couple people, 2 previous girls in my life that really brought to my attention that I need to focus on myself and where I'm at mentally, so that I'm the best version of me, along with, you guys, my family and God, but, 2 people that I cared about, I think that saw me on a day-to-day basis and saw that, okay, you have some things that you need to work on for yourself.
Yeah.
So definitely getting to a better space now.
So what's the number, 1 to 10?
In terms of?
Your mental health.
I'd say it's about a 6. I'm still growing. I'm still finding things that I enjoy, that are a hobby or passion. Obviously, our podcast is one. It's a chance for me to, a lot of times, maybe get some thoughts that are out of my head, into a creative space, because we do spend time with this. So that's great. But I definitely have a long way to go. I have a long way to go in trying to journal and sit down with my thoughts, in terms of trying to meditate, something that I tried to do in college that I was going for a little bit, but I have to make time for it. And then just, spending time with God and watching sermons and taking notes and really finding that balance. So,
okay.
But elder statesman, where are you at with your mental health and, how do you feel about mental health in general?
I'd probably say I'm probably about a 6, 7.
Okay.
Just simply because, I just get tired. I got so many things going at once. Just get tired,
Yeah.
I feel like my mind never has a chance to just rest. I get minimal sleep a lot of days, so yeah, my mental health could be better, but it's not the worst. So I'd probably say 6, 7, around there.
Do you have anything particular right now that when you do have that time that you get to sit down and do that at least allows your mind to kind of release some of the things that you have going on though?
Music. Music is my meditation.
Okay.
So a lot of times when I get a chance to just breathe, I'll just sit here at the studio, aka my apartment, and just put my headphones on, put some music on.
Okay.
A lot of chill music that just relaxes me.
No, definitely music has always been a thing, for me. I haven't used it as much as from my mental aspect. I think it's just part of something I do, especially, when I was in school, homework. I found like the Study Beats playlist on Apple was great, and just in terms of just something smooth, something melodic, something just kind of the up tempos of just the different sounds that always gave me a sense of peace, like doing my homework, because I got not anxiety, but when it's time for me to sit down and do it, I can focus, but it really let me kind of hone in. But, you know, obviously something me and you talked about that we kind of wanted to focus on was, you know, mental health and how it affects athletes. Obviously, we're both athletes. And I think a lot of that in your mental health comes from where you started. How did you start your journey? Mm-hmm. And I know something that you asked me was the pressures that I had of my dad being a coach and the expectation I had to live up to. Like, how did that affect my mental health as a kid when you don't even know that's a thing?
Right.
You know, so to kind of touch on that, just backstory of me, you know, if any of you guys been following our podcast, my dad, the OG, shout out to him. It was his birthday yesterday. My man is 60. Pops, I love you. 60 years is unbelievable. Can't believe it. You don't look a day past 45.
Don't tell him that. He already got a big head.
Yeah, for sure. You get on my nerves, but I love you. But I say all that because I did struggle, and as I've gotten older, I still struggle a little bit with our dynamic, and that's the thing that I finally had to admit to and open up about, is that it's not that I have daddy issues, but there was a lot of expectation and pressure on me to live up to the name, the standard, the brand that my dad created. And that's hard to do when, as an athlete and as a kid, somebody that is supposed to be able to get their son or somebody to this level, which would have been a high major Division I college, I just wasn't that. Coming out of high school, I was at 17 years old graduating, I was 5'10", 150 pounds, and I was not ready to step on someone's campus and be a contributor Division I. And that affected me a lot, just the journey to get to where I'm at now, where I'm a professional, and what I do is I get to play basketball for, you know, a living and some of the other things that I'm doing. But it affected me a lot because I did not know that I spent so much time on that, not knowing that if I found other avenues to release and I enjoy some of the other talents that I was given, it would have made that burden not feel like a burden at all. Mm-hmm. And that's something, like I said, that it's taken me, I mean, up until the last maybe 2 years to admit that, you know, that was something I was going through and I didn't know how to deal with it.
Yeah. You know, you being a coach's son, mm-hmm. So it's a stigma or a stereotype that you all get it easy. Mm-hmm. But in reality,
it's the other way around.
It's the other way around.
Yeah.
So kind of lean into that, you know, the pressures of being a coach's son, not just, you know, the pressure of him being a father, mm-hmm. but him being a coach also. Yeah,
I mean, I definitely struggled with the relationship of separating dad from coach. And I think that's a lot of people that have gone through that would be able to admit that there's a line. And me being older now, communicating that to my dad, that, look, we didn't have that line. He may have thought it was, but from my perspective, we didn't have that.
Right.
And it took a lot of conversation with you and my mom. And, you know, you talked to me about how much sometimes he's my worst enemy. Mm-hmm. As much as I'm my own enemy, so was he.
Yeah.
And that's just something that for anybody out there that has a parent that's directly related to your athleticism career, find a way to separate it. And you're not too young to mention to your parent, like, sometimes I just need you to be my dad or my mom, and then I need you to be coach. And let's find those ways when we're off the court to completely separate the two. You know, as much as, you know, my dad is like a dad to you, but he was still your coach. You know, did you feel like you had a struggle at all with him being your uncle, you know, a father figure and your coach, or?
With me, I think it's a little different. Like, as we've gotten older, he's kind of grown into that, you know, father figure. But growing up, I couldn't stand it.
Yeah, he was just coaching. It's just like, I love you because you're family, but...
Because I felt like he didn't believe in me. Mm. So, like, you took a late growth spurt. Mm-hmm. You know how he feels about smaller guards.
Yeah.
So, you know, spending every summer with you all and every summer having to fight for my spot when I beat the person out every summer, at some point you would think he's going to believe in me.
Yeah.
But every summer it was the same thing. I had to beat somebody out. And it's damaging to your confidence. Mm. And I think that was the main issue. Okay. Because And I don't know if he just looked at me different because, I was kind of passive. But I was only passive with his team.
Yeah.
Because I'm playing with All-Americans. I don't have to shoot the ball.
Yeah, for sure.
But it helped me going into high school because when I get to high school, I'm an animal.
Yeah.
But, it's just, it kind of just messed with me mentally because it was discouraging.
Yeah.
Like you see this man that you look up to and you want him to believe in you, but I didn't feel like that was the case.
Yeah. Now later down the line, not kind of focusing like on our dynamic, but the things that you went through like younger, and coaches talk about all the time, like basketball teaches those life lessons. So mentally, now you have to figure out, how do I take the things in basketball and apply them to my life? Things like that, things from any of the other coaches. Do you feel like that's 100% true? The things that you learn in basketball, you can take away once basketball's away and implement them into your life?
Definitely. Just, having to fight for positions and fight for, someone to believe in you, it applies to life also. Just going into the workforce. You have to get your boss or your manager, your supervisor to believe in you. Mm-hmm. And just me being a creative, I have to fight to get people to believe in my work.
Yeah.
And my creative vision. So it applies just like you said.
Definitely. I mean, as I'm going through it now, as I was thinking about that, before we did it, I'm gonna say 100% because I look at, kind of where my life is going now, kind of having a setback in basketball and being hurt. And like, I've never been that. So what does life look like when basketball is not the center of my day? Like, what kind of person am I? How do I carry myself? Because I know, in my experience, when basketball wasn't going well, I wasn't the best version of me. And it shouldn't be like that. You can't let just the sport you play, define the kind of day that you have. You can be upset about it, but when there's time to move on, whether it's being with people or yourself and allowing yourself that time to be like, okay, that part's over. I can't change or do anything about it right at this moment. Let me enjoy the things that I can enjoy. And it took me a while. Honestly, till I got out of college to where I felt like I tried not to let basketball affect my day.
We'll kind of lean into that more because I know when I had the same experience, never been injured, and then my first injury was a torn ACL. That it took me out.
Yeah.
Like after the phone call, I pull over, I'm boo-hooing. So how does that affect your mental state right now? Because you've never been hurt.
Yeah.
And such a serious injury. Now, how does that affect you?
It's been difficult. This is not really something that I've admitted. So, a lot of people don't know that I'm injured. So, one, saying this to the camera, dealing with a foot injury I have right now. I was okay at first because I'm just like, okay, I'm hurt and I'm at home. I was trying to get ready to go overseas. And I know like, okay, going into the next season, like, okay, I'll be fine. It'll pass through. The deflating part was, my dad, I walk in the house, act like it's a normal day. He's like, hey, you got a job today? And I'm like, okay, but I've been working. I have a job. And he was like, no, there was an agent that called to offer you a job to go to Albania and finish out the season. And I'm just like, I'm in utter shock because I didn't think that I was going to get a call to finish out the season. And that's when it really set into reality that was like looking at my foot, I'm in a cast and I was just helpless. Yeah. To know that I couldn't go, and that's all I had been, working for is like, I'm trying to get back, I'm staying ready so I don't have to get ready. And you're just left to wonder, like, what could I have done? I think, my perspective of mental health is sometimes you have those not traumatic moments that trigger something that you didn't even know that you had on the inside. Something that I didn't know I had on the inside was I literally am left helpless and I can't do anything and I can't go back to change it. What am I going to do now? What am I going to do with what was just told to me and how am I going to deal with it? I think I dealt with it 100 times better than I ever thought. Just because I sat down, I realized I can't go back. There's nothing I can do. I can't go back and get the offer. I can't hold on to it. I can't squeeze it. There's nothing I can do. All I could do was push forward and figure out a way. I didn't know how I was going to. I was still finding my way, But I saw that instead of lingering on it, I have to just let it go because you can't go back and get it.
How long would you say you stayed in that sunken place?
Honestly, I only stayed in that sunken place like the moment I got in my car after I left, my parents' house, that realization set in. I was already going through some other things, so I kind of was able to just push it to the side and not let it consume me because I knew if I did, I know what kind of place it would take me to. Mm-hmm. And I would say that I'm very blessed that I've never been a person to where I don't have anxiety. I don't have a lot of fears. My biggest fear is failure. So that kind of felt like, am I a failure because I couldn't even stay healthy long enough to get my job? But I never let it consume me. So I was able to push it to the side long enough until I had the time to deal with it. But I know obviously there's not a lot of people that are able to do that.
This is true.
So, kind of in your situation, with your injuries and kind of the setback and even being injured when you're not even, basketball's not even in the forefront of your mind. Sports isn't even a thing. Like, how did you feel?
The second one wasn't.
Yeah, the first one, yes.
It was.
Okay, so talk about the difference between getting injured while basketball is the focus and when you were just doing it to stay in shape.
The first one, it definitely hit different. Mm-hmm. It hit different because, at that point, you at your peak. And you have all these plans, all these dreams that you strive for, that you're trying to achieve. And then to have, a setback like that, it's damaging. Like it's very discouraging, and it leaves you with doubt.
Okay.
Like, can you come back, or can you make a comeback? Will your knee be the same? Because that was part of my issue. Once I got the call that I had tore it, it was a process.
Yeah.
But once I got the surgery, went through rehab, that was a whole nother ball game. Mm-hmm. Because then I have to train my mind to trust my knee again. Because at that point, I had zero trust in it.
Yeah.
And my game, like, I need my knees.
Yeah. This dude right here,
So it's just like, it's just a constant battle within yourself.
Do you feel like the mental battle was even tougher than the physical battle?
For sure.
Okay.
For sure. Because, we physically, we're strong. Mm-hmm. Like, there's nothing you can throw at us that we can't handle.
Yeah.
But mental battles are a whole different ballgame.
Yeah. Now, something that I'm not going to say I'm well versed in, and I think obviously kind of touching into this episode, obviously it's a prelude for what we have for everybody, because we are going to have a guest come on that is really going to speak to and hopefully be able to answer some of our questions and maybe questions you guys have out there about how to deal with certain things and certain aspects. But is there a particular, because there's multiple ways, do you think there's a particular way that people, and keep it in the sports world, should they see, a sports psychiatrist or just even a therapist in general when they deal with injuries or they deal with setbacks or anything? Like, from a sports perspective, do you think that you need someone else to talk to besides just your inner circle?
Definitely. There's always a stigma that, I can't trust a stranger or, something like that. But even if that's the case, you need to speak to someone, whether it be a family member, a close friend. You can't bottle it up.
Yeah.
Because that's going to be even worse for you.
Yeah.
You have to get it off your chest. You have to let it out because, it can consume you.
Gotcha.
And leave you in that sunken place that we talked about.
Yeah. And I will look at the camera and I will be the first to admit, I struggle. I absolutely do not want to go to therapy. I will say that for the people.
We still working on it.
So, but here's the thing, and I think for me that I've grown the fact that, like, I'm gonna admit, like, if I have a few fears in life, maybe just fear of failure, I don't have a fear of dying, I don't have a fear of a lot of things, but going to therapy, because, like, it's not the stigma of therapy, it's I have to feel comfortable. And that is very uncomfortable. And I know you have to do uncomfortable things. But what I mean uncomfortable as in I can peel back the layers. But for me personally, doing with somebody I don't know, it's not about me sharing it. You giving me the information back. Like, there's nothing that I know about you to trust you. I just have to go on that you have a degree and your reputation. That doesn't sit well with me. I'm getting advice. I could probably sit down and talk about you, but I don't know anything about your background, and you're telling me I have to share my life about you and take your advice and have to respect it. I can't get past that.
But different people have different methods. But you don't know until you go.
You're right, I don't.
The initial process might be you getting to know them.
Hey, if for all of those that have been in therapy, please let me know. But that is me being vulnerable in front of this camera and saying that's my thought process on why I would not want to go to therapy and why I choose to do a podcast, listen to music, work out, watch a sermon, go for a walk, go in my car and drive, which is one of the most enjoyable things for me to do to relax. I'll try to do anything I can, eat by myself, anything to allow me just to unwind and unleash and just so.
So you don't want therapy, but do you think you need therapy?
Is it bad if I say no?
Well, give an honest answer.
I don't. I'm sure I probably do because I'm sure I have. Like I said, I do probably have a things from my background that probably need to be untangled and unhinged, and maybe somebody help me work through them. But I do feel comfortable enough with myself to admit when I'm wrong. Allow people to give me constructive criticism. I do allow myself to feel and understand when things hurt and not. Let me not say that. I may not know how to express it, but I definitely take it on and I feel it. But but in terms of being able to communicate it, especially to communicate it to people I'm trying to be vulnerable with, may be difficult. But yeah. I do have a better understanding of when things actually hurt and when I can feel and know that like something's wrong and it's okay to say something's wrong.
I feel like communication is like a pillar of mental health. You have to be able to communicate. You have to be able to talk it out. Yeah. And express yourself.
Yeah. Well, unfortunately, you, my friend, are sometimes my liaison of when I need to bounce ideas off.
Yeah. That's what I'm here for.
Yeah. As my older brother and as, kind of my best friend, I don't think there's ever a topic that's too far off that you have ever had to deal with. I'm sure you don't want to hear about some of my problems sometimes, but I do feel comfortable enough saying them to you and hearing what you have to say and not getting my feelings hurt when you hold me accountable.
Yeah. Well, part of that is because, I've been there though. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I see what you're saying with being comfortable.
Yeah. And that's one thing that I've heard from people that I have had conversation with is that everybody doesn't have that. Everybody doesn't have that sounding board or somebody they feel like they trust that. And you almost try to find somebody that is in a position that you're in or trying to get to because you're like, okay, if I'm going through this and they're where I want to get to, like, what have they dealt with? Like, because then how can I relate it? And then you but everybody doesn't have that. And that's something that I was told by people and that I'm lucky in that sense that I have that.
Yeah.
So, I think one of the best things about us having this conversation is that it's a conversation.
Yeah.
For so long, I tried to not ignore it, but I didn't acknowledge it. I didn't think that. I was like, why are we talking about this? Like, why is this important? Like, why are people? And the fact that now people go to school for this, like, my best friend, his fiance, this is what she's getting a master's in to do sports psychology. Mm-hmm. She has a knack to be able to just relate to people and hopefully be able to help athletes in whatever capacity needed, whether it's through an injury, whether it's through off the field, off the court issues, on the court, just to find that space for them to be able to tap in to be the best of them. And I think it is a great thing that there's not just, psychology majors, and you can be a counselor or school counselor and all these things. There are specific avenues that you can go to and a space of mental awareness to be able to help people.
What do you think brought this change? Because it is being talked about more so often now. So what do you think changed?
Oh, that's a whole nother can of worms. I mean, I would say I look at football from a perspective. I look at, the concussion things and CTE and people wanting to know, the actual physical anatomy of what does sports like football do to the brain. Mm-hmm. And then you take the other side of that, like physically, how does that physical contact affect your mental conscious and your mental thinking? And I think once people saw that kind of thing damages that, it damages just your every day-to-day decisions, we had to start looking at, okay, are there things that we can do? Because physically, you almost can't stop it. You can make the game safer, but you can't stop it. Even basketball, you have concussions. Guys hit the floor. Guys hit each other. Any type of contact sport. What can we do mentally to keep everybody's mind fresh and as moving as possible away from the physical contact? And I think once people started looking at that, I think the people that aren't involved in sports got involved and said, okay, we have the tools. How can we introduce it into sports now? And I think after that, it just kind of took off.
Okay.
I mean, you got a thought on that or kind of?
I think everybody just reaches a boiling point. Mm-hmm. Because eventually, it may just start off, you have these thoughts in your mind, but once it becomes overwhelming and consumes your body, it starts to affect you physically. Mm. And at that point, I think that's when people start to talk and communicate and express themselves. And I just think, a lot of people have reached a boiling point.
Yeah. And I think obviously the world we live in today, we're going through something we've never gone through. And I think right now is a great time to express yourself and figure out COVID, dealing with family and being in the house more, all these different things, like really kind of unpack your life. Yeah. And that's one thing I definitely tried to do is unpack my life and figure out, sit down, what's the stuff that's important to me? What areas do I need help in? What can be added to, and all those different things. And we could talk about this not forever, but it's a whole thing to unpack. And I'm excited for our guest because, this is what. So did we tell them okay.
No.
Yeah, but I'm really excited for this person to be able to answer questions we have. And please send any questions to us if there's anything you'd like to hear answered.
Comment below, tweet us.
Yeah.
DM us.
All that. So this is just a prelude for that. We want to kind of talk about it. We're just really sitting as it was we were getting ready for this episode. So I hope y'all enjoyed. I hope y'all learned something. I hope y'all got to learn a little bit more about us. You made me share. We're going to make you share more on the next episode. All right. So, hey, you already know the deal, man. Follow me on Instagram, B_great, KAE.
Follow your boy. Witness your moment. You are.
Man, get at that Twitter and that Instagram.
_.
And my favorite one of all, the website.
www.seethefloorpodcast.com.
Man, appreciate y'all tuning in. Y'all stay tuned in for the next episode. Until next time, y'all. We out.
See life like you see the floor.